Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is my entry into ranking the Obscures Like to Get to Know You contest. Now the host of the channel is Ian and he's a very good friend of mine. In fact, myself and Ian have actually done 14 collaboration videos, 12 on his channel and 2 on mine, and there is a playlist on my channel if you ever want to check them out. His channel is so diverse. He loves all types of music. He's really into the heavier prog stuff, but he will go into things like even the Bay City Rollers and the New Seekers and various pop artists as well. He does album rankings. He does retro ranking, which is his top 10 songs of any artist, and every Thursday he has a live stream. He also does birthday videos for regular viewers, so if you tell him your birthday, whenever it comes to do that, he'll do the top 10 of when the year you were born. Even if it's in America, he'll do the American top 10. So there's loads of stuff, especially Battle of the Debuts is another good one that he does, where he works out which album he prefers of debut album of 2 different artists, and then he puts it out to the people watching and see who wins overall. So he's decided to do a contest, and it's basically a Like to Get to Know You contest. He's been doing this video making for about, it must be nearly coming on 2 years anyway, at least a year and a half, and he's doing very well. He's got well over 600 subscribers. In fact, he's not far away from 700. But what he decided to do with this contest is ask everyone who wishes to enter, and please do, to create one side of a C60 tape which defines your music, really the music that you are associated with. So for anyone that doesn't know, a C60 cassette is 60 minutes of music, so 30 minutes each side, although I always found out that each side was about 31 minutes, which was good because I needed that extra minute. So to create 30 minutes of the music that defines you. Okay, so let's start, and I'm going to go through the years basically. In 1973, in June of 1973, this was released, and this is T-Rex the Groover, and this was the first T-Rex single I bought. I then got in the cheapy box Solid Gold Easy Action. My brother had bought 20th Century Boy, and then after this I didn't buy Truck On for some reason, but I did buy Teenage Dream at the start of 74. But this is one of my favourite T-Rex singles. I absolutely love it, and I love the T-R-E-X beginning of it. It's a great track and fantastic single. So that's my first choice. Second choice, we're now in 1974, and my music taste had changed. In 1973, T-Rex were my favourite group. In 1974, the Wombles were my favourite group. I know. Now, one thing I will say about myself is I'm very loyal to groups. If I like them, years ago, I'll carry on liking them. I won't dismiss them at all, and I absolutely do love the Wombles. This was their 3rd album, but it was the first one I got, and I got it about a month or so before Christmas, and then I got the first 2 albums actually for Christmas. I think the songwriting in this is really good. Even today the songwriting is excellent. Yes, I know it's about Wombles and fictional characters, but the music's really good, and the song I'm picking for my cassette is Invitation to the Ping Pong Ball. It wasn't a single, but they did perform it live when they were in Glastonbury in 2011, and it's a great little rock track with an oriental feel, and it's extremely catchy. I love it, and it gets on my tape. Now we go up to 1976 now, and an album that was bought by my brother, and then it got a scratch. Well, it didn't, it was dirty, and we got another copy, and it's Abba's Greatest Hits, and anyone that knows my channel knows I adore Abba. And the song I'm choosing is Fernando, probably my favourite single. I remember it in the charts, I remember the video. I fell in love with Frida at that time. I thought she was absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm only 10 years old at the time here, and Frida just blew my socks off. I thought she was gorgeous, and this album was played to death. It really was. and to date this is probably one of my favourite ABBA albums of all time. I know it's a compilation, I know there's better compilations, but for me this is the one that gets it. So Fernando gets on. Then after around 1976 I stopped buying records. I was more interested in playing football, more interested in riding my bike, skateboards, eating as many sweets as I possibly could. But I did buy an album in 1977, and it was actually 1978 that I got it, and at that time they were my favourite group, and it's Smokey, and this is their greatest hits. Now the track I'm picking is Lay Back in the Arms of Someone, because we did have a few Smokey singles that were actually on this, but we never had that song, and it was always one of my favourites, and I absolutely adore this album. Now I did sell this eventually, and I'll get back to that later on, but Lay Back in the Arms of Someone, the number 12 hit I believe in 1977, and it's on Smokey's Greatest Hits. Okay, the next artist that I really got into was David Bowie. I already had Life on Mars single. I already had, well, my brother had Space Oddity. But by 1980 I was really into T-Rex again, because I played an old Ride a White Swan LP, fell in love with it, started buying as much as I could find, and in those days most of the material had been deleted. My brother suggested David Bowie, so I got heavily into David Bowie, and Ashes to Ashes had just been out. My brother bought it. I eventually got Scary Monsters after a couple of weeks after release, but the first David Bowie single I bought brand new at the time, apart from Life on Mars in '73, was Fashion. So this was the start of it all, and this was an edited version from the LP, and I think it's a fantastic song. I remember it entered the charts at number 20, and I thought it had done extremely well, and then the next week it had jumped to number 5, which I was ecstatic about. It then fell after that, but still a number 5 hit at the end of 1980, David Bowie's Fashion, so that gets on the tape as well. And then I've told this story before. In the early 1981 my brother's friend sold me 6 Jam singles. I think it was for about £2. It was possibly £3.50p each, I'm not too sure, but it was In the City, The Modern World, Strange Town, When You're Young, Going Underground and Start, and those 6 singles I played to death, and I loved every single one of them. The reason I bought them, because I really love Going Underground, but I'm not choosing that one. I'm choosing In the City because it'll fit on the actual tape. But this is their debut single, and I absolutely love it. Now I had heard it before in 1977 because my friend, his father ran what they called a Blue Lamp Disco, which was a disco run by the police force. It's basically to keep kids out of trouble. And he owned a farm, and all the records were stored in a barn, and In the City was one of them, and we used to play it. I was never that keen on it the time. I always preferred All Around the World, but In the City, once I got these 6 singles, was the one I played an awful lot. When You're Young is another great one as well. So In the City gets on my cassette. Okay, the next one up is another single, and this is 1983, and this is probably the most important single in my life, and I mean that. And I remember actually getting this in Woolworths near the end of '83. I had heard nothing like this before, and this song absolutely blew me away, and it's the Smiths' This Charming Man. It wasn't released on any of the albums, although I believe it was on the American version of the debut album. But the guitar intro, Morrissey's vocals, the flowers sticking out of his back pocket, it was just, I'd never heard anything like it. And it wasn't that 80s sound, it was almost going back to the 60s, but it wasn't even that. It was completely different, completely new, completely fresh. And from this song I bought all the Smith singles on the day of release or week of release, along with the albums as well. So they were my saviours of the 1980s. I thought they were absolutely brilliant, and This Charming Man gets on my cassette. I was in college in the 1987-88 in Derry, London Derry, and doing a degree, and I remember one time I I went down to the local library and they hired out music cassettes, and I thought I'll pick one or two, and the one I actually picked, and it is this one here, and it's Nick Lowe's Cowboy Outfit. Now this album, I played it and I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think everything was great off it, but there was enough on it to make me want to start exploring Nick Lowe. So the track I'm going to pick is God's Gift to Women, which was one of the two that I really loved, actually three. That, Half a Boy and Half a Man, and Breakaway. Although the album really now has jumped up on me. It's still not one of his best, but it's still a bloody good album. Now the thing is, I did have a Nick Lowe album, Jesus of Cool, which I bought off my brother's friend again, that and Zenyatta Mandata, and for very little money, and I ended up selling Nick Lowe Jesus of Cool along with that Smokey album in order to buy that album behind you, Iggy Pop's The Idiot, from an indoor market. And I obviously have since bought them, and I've still got that copy. It's on the RCA Orange label, great album, but I would still say that the Smokey one's better and the Nick Lowe one's better. But still, Nick Lowe became a huge fan after this album. My girlfriend bought me the album of that year, '88, for Christmas. I was going to include something off this, but I thought this is the one that started it all off. So God's Gift to Women gets on my cassette. And so the last track is from 2010, and it's Vampire Weekend's White Sky, and that gets on my cassette. Now I didn't actually get into them until about 2013 or so, when I heard the song White Sky. Thought it was absolutely brilliant, so what I did was I did what everybody did, and I downloaded the albums, and then I made a CD out of all the singles that were released off it. I thought it was fantastic. Then I went out and bought the CDs themselves, and then I bought the vinyl. And I think they're a brilliant band. Their last album was 2019. I hope there's going to be another one. I don't think there will be, but I hope there is. So the last song in the cassette is White Sky from Vampire Weekend's Contra. So that the running time for those songs, I think there's 8 of them, is 30 minutes and 28 seconds. And as I said, most cassettes did give you an extra minute on each side, and so that should fit in my Like to Get to Know You cassette for Ian's contest. So please subscribe to Ian. He's got, as I said, he's got a very channel. It's very good, and he's a really good friend now, and it's a pleasure for me to do this entry. Okay, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.